Hello and welcome to the course on ubiquitous computing. And today we started with the ubiquitous computing privacy. That's our fifth unit, and few points we covered already. Now we'll directly start with the interpersonal privacy in the ubiquitous computing. The laws and the fair information principles are important tools in defining roles of institutionalized data collectors such as companies or the government agencies. However, they do not help if the privacy issues arise between private parties, that is, between the neighbors, friends, or family members. Neither does the law requires parents to announce that they are monitoring the time that their children come home, nor do friends exchange privacy policies with each other before allowing continuous access to their instant messenger status. Clearly, the fair information principles are only of a limited applicability when it comes to these social etiquettes and social norms. Although a tort laws provides a remedies for some privacy violations, such as intrusion or disclosure, this seems to be the only last resorts when all friendship, the neighborliness, or family bonds have already ended. How can you become applications that offer ubiquitous information exchange between the peers to be designed in order to avoid having to go to court to ensure one's privacy? What aspects of privacy matter for the people when they are not dealing with a faceless companies or agencies but with acquaintances, friends, and families? Interpersonal privacy cannot be approached by requiring a purpose, specifications, and a recipient a list. Between individuals, privacy is a tool for social discourse that allows one to manage peer groups. In this context, privacy is an ongoing boundary negotiation process and not a monotonic function where more secrecy translates to more privacy. Yes, you can have too much privacy that's resulting into the isolation, which is not possible. Privacy tools must support in this situation adjustments rather than separating configuration and actions. So look into the novel Ubicom challenges to the privacy. Privacy and data protection have always been closely related to what is technically feasible. At the end of 19th century, it was the invention of a modern photography that promoted warren and boundaries to rethink the concept of legal privacy protection. At the beginning of 20th century, the laws had to be reinterpreted again to take into an account the possibilities of modern telecommunication, and in the 1916-1917 it was the implementation of efficient government through the use of modern databases that required yet another update of privacy laws, resulting in the first of today's modern data protection laws with their focus on data self determination. After a rise of internet, e-commerce in 1990s had initiated a last round of updates, the dawn of ubiquitous computing promises the next revolution of smart things. Even though many ubiquitous computing visions sounds like artificial intelligence or revisited applications such as intelligent car or the smart home might not face the same fate as the dreams of intelligent machines that some 20 years ago researchers thought of being just around the corners. Ubiquitous computing often solves a much more mundane yet important problem, namely crossing media boundaries using miniature sensors, cheap microchips, and wireless communication. Computer technology can penetrate our everyday lives in a completely unobtrusive manner. Data protection and privacy are all about this mapping, translating facts of a real world into bits of information that can be stored for later retrieval. Ubiquitous computing is about the digitalization of information about our lives in order to allow computer systems to automatically process it. It comes as no surprise that ubiquitous computing has the potential to yet again change our perception of privacy in a significant manner. This qualitative quantum leap can be treated along five aspects of ubiquitous computing system. That five aspects are a collection scale, the manner and the motivation, as well as the data types and data accessibility. These are the 5 points: collection scale, manner with which that is collected, motivation, data types, and data accessibility. Collection scale means how much data we are collecting. Collection manner means how we are collecting a data. Means we are collecting a data through watching, we are collecting a data through surveillance, or we are collecting a data by asking some questions. That is what a manner. Collection motivation means what motivates you to collect the data. What's the purpose behind this? Why we are collecting a data? That's about a motivation, collection motivation. Data accessibility means whenever we collecting data, then means how, in which manner the data will be accessible to the third party. How much part of your data is accessible to the third party? And the last one is the data types. Means whatever data we are collecting, and whenever there is a way, there is a need to represent the data into a computer system. Basically, this is required for data processing. Means if you want to process the data, so definitely you need to segregate the data into different data types. So, the collection scale, collection manner, collection motivation, data accessibility, and data types, these are the 5 important points associated with it. So, now we'll stop at this moment and we'll come to the next point, that is based upon the a case study, and that case study is of a RFID.